Hello there. Thank you for your great support over the season. It meant a great deal to me to win the Player of the Year award that you fans voted for. Personally, it ranks with the best season that I've had in my professional career. We started out with a home game against Crewe in August.
New season, new optimism. A 16,000-strong crowd turned out to welcome the new management team. Director of Football Bryan Hamilton and the first-team manager Bruce Rioch. A very experienced and determined management pairing, hoping to take the Canaries back into the top for the first time in 4 years. On that day, Craig Bellamy in particular caught the eye, and this stunning early goal got Norwich City's new season underway in the most spectacular fashion. At only 19, Bellamy was beginning to become a real star, a terrific player and not short of confidence. Youth played a big part on the opening day. 19-year-old Darren Kenton had obviously impressed Rioch in pre-season training. The young fullback slotted straight into the gap left by the injured Eric Fugelstad and repaid his manager's faith with the second goal. Many were expecting a cross, but Kenton saw the gap and found it with an excellent strike. Straight from the restart, Mark Rivers scored as Norwich were caught off guard, but it wasn't enough to dampen the Canaries' spirits or to take away their first win of the season.
We felt that the most important game in the season for us was Crewe Alexander at home, because you want to get off to a good start at the beginning of any campaign. We had a good pre-season tour, we had a good pre-season programme, and we got off to a win against Crewe on the opening day of the season, 2-1. And in fact, after the game, Dario Gradi said to me, he said, "Well done today." He said, "The only concern I would have for you is whether you can score enough goals."
Well, it wasn't goals that would be so much of a problem in the early part of the season, but injuries. Against Stockport, Sean Carey was stretchered off very early on. He wasn't to play again for months. His replacement on the day, Mike Milligan, also went off injured, leaving Norwich a little short of midfield cover. But Craig Bellamy scored again to give Norwich a first-half lead. Darren Eadie was desperate to make an impression this season after suffering with a neck injury for much of the previous campaign, and his cross shot was turned in by former Canary Colin Woodthorpe to make it 2-0. So back to Carrow Road for a match with QPR. A real thriller this. We join the action in the first half. Your commentator is Tony Jones.
Here's Eadie. Now O'Neill. He's got Bellamy in support. And Craig Bellamy's in here. It's a great chance for Bellamy. And it's one he's accepted. 2 minutes gone. Norwich City in front. And another magnificent goal from Craig Bellamy. It's Bellamy's fourth goal of a very productive season. He was in behind Murray and he punished Queen's Park Rangers there. Half of the goalkeeper stood his ground. But cool as you like, Bellamy, at his best in those situations, has put Norwich City ahead. Such has given the ball away to Peacock, and there's a break on here for Queen's Park Rangers. Scully has been put clear, brought down, and that's a penalty. Marshall claims he got a touch to the ball. Paul Rieger is reaching for, one assumes, his yellow card. Queen's Park Rangers have the penalty, and Andy Marshall is shown yellow. There's a chance here for Darren Peacock to equalise for Queen's Park Rangers. And he's got it. 1-1. Marshall beaten after bringing Scully down. Paul Rieger insisting that the Rangers' wall is a pace or two further back. Swept in towards O'Neill. Harper has lost possession. Here's Jackson. What has the referee given here? Some confusion, but Norwich City have the penalty. There was a header clear by Reddy. Now, Harper was out. And did he bring Grant down? That was the foul. Spotted by Paul Rioch. Grant was fouled, and Norwich have an opportunity to go 2-1 up. And we still haven't had 7 minutes. Bellamy with a penalty. And that's 2-1 Norwich. Extraordinary opening here at Carrow Road. Eadie waiting for Jackson to move forward before he takes this free kick. Swept into Jackson, and back off the post. Jackson, and he's got it! Matt Jackson, the Norwich City skipper, has added the 3rd goal. Eadie waited until Jackson had gone forward before he took the corner. Harper scrambling across his goal, determined play by O'Neill, and Jackson was the quickest to react. There was a deflection, but Harper beaten. What an incredible opening. 8 minutes gone, and already it's 3-1. Sheeran has dropped short. Here's Hinola. Flag has stayed down. Gallen is onside. Peacock arriving in the middle, as is Mike Sheeran. Oh, terrific strike from Mike Sheeran. Mike Sheeran makes it 3-2. Here's Grant. Now Bellamy. It's a penalty. Yates committed the foul. He dived in after Bellamy had turned ready. Never any doubt in Paul Rioch, the referee's mind. Craig Bellamy steps forward to take his 2nd penalty of the afternoon, and if he scores, it'll be his 1st hat-trick for Norwich City. It's Bellamy against Harper. And that's it! Craig Bellamy, just 19 years old, scores his 1st league hat-trick for Norwich City.
So a maximum 9 points from the first 3 games left Norwich just where they wanted to be, at the top of the First Division table, albeit sharing that top spot with 3 other clubs. It was far too early in a long season to get too excited, but things were looking good. And Norwich went to West Brom knowing that a 4th successive victory would equal the club's best ever opening to a season. Sadly, it wasn't to be. An afternoon of frustration at the Hawthorns saw the home side win 2-0. Dutchman Fabian de Freitas scoring both goals in the second half. But a spirited display gave manager Rioch plenty to work on as Norwich prepared for a visit to Barnsley, who'd just been relegated from the Premiership. They were straight on the attack and took the lead through former Norwich favourite Ashley Ward after just 6 minutes. It stayed that way until the second half, when Norwich were forced to change their shirts. The referee decided that Norwich City's new dark blue and fluorescent yellow shirts were difficult to see under the floodlights. So back in traditional yellow, Norwich set about making a terrific second half comeback. Lee Marshall equalised with his 1st goal for the club just before the hour. It remained at 1-1 until just 4 minutes from time, when Iwan Roberts scored surely his best goal in Canary colours to give Norwich the lead. He owed a lot to more good work from Marshall, but the turn and finish a great way to open his league account. Craig Bellamy rounded off a brilliant second half performance with a 3rd goal on the stroke of full time, heading home Darren Eadie's pinpoint cross. So it finished 3-1 at Oakwell, and it was back to Carrow Road for the next match with Bury. Commentary from Alan Brazil and Rob Hawthorne.
This is Jaffo making room for himself, and they were grateful there for the agility of Marshall in getting across his goal to tip it away.
Well, that all came from Welland's misplaced header.
Jaffo then comes inside the left foot, says why not, and that's going right inside the post. That's a tremendous stop from Andy Marshall.
Forbes has gone into the penalty area, but it's Roberts they're looking for. And here's Forbes, he's gone down, Woodward's challenge, it's a penalty! And Woodward, the man of the match, has given away the kick, and he can hardly believe it.
I think there's the slightest of contact there.
Can he do it? It's saved! Dean Kiley, who saved a couple of penalties last season, is the Bury hero.
Well, saved one from Kincladze, and now this young star goes for Kiley's left. Goalkeeper makes his mind up early. Great stop.
And to make things worse, Matt Jackson's damaged ankle ligaments meant that he would be out of action for more than a month. Problems beginning to mount up for the manager. And that disappointment was quickly followed by defeat at Sheffield United. An early penalty called on the services of Andy Marshall, who produced the goods, saving from Graham Stewart. Brazilian Marcelo was giving Norwich all sorts of problems, and he gave Sheffield United the lead in the first half, allowed all the time and space he needed to beat Marshall from the edge of the penalty area. Norwich equalised shortly after half-time. Eric Fugelstad's cross found its way to the far post, and lone player Jed Branham was there to score his only goal in Norwich colours. But a soft goal allowed the home side to take all 3 points. Attempts to clear at the near post failed, and Marcelo was again on hand to score. The next match against Birmingham saw a home debut for defender Malky Mackay, Bruce Rioch's first Norwich signing, a £350,000 capture from Scottish Premier side Celtic.
Mackay and Fleming both forward from the back for Norwich City. Roberts has made a run, and Bellamy has made the breakthrough. Craig Bellamy, with his 9th goal of the season, has put Norwich City ahead with barely 10 minutes remaining. Mackay and Fleming have been pressed forward again by Norwich, and Iwan Roberts beats them to it. Iwan Roberts. It's only his 2nd league goal of the season, but he's deserved it for his contribution during this fixture.
The big matches were coming thick and fast. Sunderland came to Carrow Road just 3 days later.
Another crossfield pass from Gray, this time to try and pick out Decio. And towards Quinn, who's in behind Mackay and has put Sunderland ahead inside 3 minutes. What a wonderful return for Niall Quinn, who's had so many problems with injury. Ray the provider this time, Mackay backpedaling, and a clinical finish from Niall Quinn. Andy Marshall had no chance, and Sunderland are in front. And by such, Roberts arriving, and Eadie gets the goal. Darren Eadie with his first goal for Norwich City since he scored against Sunderland here at Carrow Road back in January, has made it 1-1. Bellamy had pulled out of the middle, Such with a lofted cross. Roberts, who was denied by Sorensen, but Eadie wasn't. Now it's all square, and now we have a game on our hands. Eadie across to take the free kick. Mackay's made his run. And Norwich a 2-1 up with a goal from Malky Mackay. The big Scotsman, he'll be having nightmares about the one that Niall Quinn put in for Sunderland at the other end. Showing a good touch in front of goal. Blasted in from close range, and he really enjoyed that. What a turnaround. 2 goals in 4 minutes. One from Malky Mackay, another from Darren Eadie. And Norwich City are now in the driving seat. Makin's cross. and Marshall's punched it straight into his net. Cross from Makin. Quinn had gone up, but it was Marshall who made the touch. He came for the punch, and he didn't make it. Quinn with a touch onto Johnston. Summerby is free. Oh, a terrific shot from Summerby and a fine save by Andy Marshall. Hit low and with great venom, and Marshall was down very, very quickly to atone for his earlier error.
So 4 points taken from two of the promotion favourites. Surely a trip to lowly Port Vale would provide the perfect opportunity to build on that. Sadly, that wasn't to be. A tired-looking performance resulted in a 1-0 defeat. Gareth Ainsworth scoring the only goal on the hour. To add to that, Malky Mackay, who'd made such a promising start to his Canaries career, was sent off shortly before the end. A 2-week break for Euro 2000 qualifying was particularly productive for Craig Bellamy, who came on as a substitute in Wales' game against Denmark and scored a late winner. And Bellamy's quality was very much in evidence when Norwich got back to league action, as he provided Iwan Roberts with the chance to put Norwich 1-0 up at Crystal Palace. Roberts had been in the Wales squad too, and their partnership was really taking off. But with the East Anglian derby just 3 days away, Norwich seemed to lose their way completely. Palace hit 5. David Rizzo equalised. And Matt Jansen scored the second just before half-time. Matthias Svensson added the third just after the break. Before Jansen, who was soon to move to Premiership side Blackburn Rovers, scored the fourth. Another man who is to move from cash-strapped Palace, Italian Attilio Lombardo, rounded off the scoring towards the end. So 5-1, worst possible preparation for one of the biggest matches of the season in Ipswich. A highly charged atmosphere at Portman Road as the Canaries fans and players hope to erase memories of their last visit to Suffolk. The corresponding fixture last season resulted in a 5-0 win for Ipswich. Commentary again comes from Tony Jones.
Just listen to that noise. There's nothing quite like Derby Day, and forget current league form. There's always huge expectation in both camps. Mowbray's clearance only as far as Lee Marshall, and it's Marshall again now as Norwich begin to press forward. Fugelstad searches out Eadie. Fugelstad again. Eadie trying to get in behind Tarico, and he succeeded. That's an excellent cross, and Roberts has missed from 2 yards out. Iwan Roberts prostrate on the goal line. Fugelstad with the ball in between Mowbray and Tarico. Is a terrific cross from Eadie. Roberts, who was arriving, and he couldn't angle his header on target. It seemed harder to miss than to score then. Here's Johnson. Now Venazza. Holland, who's been able to pull away from Lee Marshall. Terrific effort by Matt Holland and a wonderful save by Andy Marshall. And no wonder he's angry with the players in front of him. Here's Brannan. Now Eadie. Fugelstad also forward to offer some support. And here is Eric Fugelstad. Roberts arriving at the near post, and Bellamy has put Norwich City ahead. Craig Bellamy, who at the moment, it seems, can do no wrong, is across to greet the Norwich City supporters on the far side after putting his side ahead after 6 minutes of the second half. Look at me, I'm number 8 and I'm Craig Bellamy, he says. Terrific break by Norwich, exceptional cross by Fuglestad, and Bellamy, who was brave and positive with a run to the near post. Roberts had made his run ahead of him, but nobody was going to catch Craig Bellamy then. That was a terrific goal for Norwich City. Scowcroft and Johnson on the goal line. Venus has been pushed forward. Holland and Mowbray, the two on the edge of the penalty area, now making their runs. And Scowcroft's header was back off the post. Wasn't a particularly good angle for James Scowcroft then. And there's a chance here for Darren Eadie. Good block by Richard Wright. An escape for Ipswich just seconds after they rattled the post at the other end from the corner. Oh, it's an effort for Iwan Roberts, and it's come back off the post. That was incredible. Richard Wright, who was being closed down very, very quickly by Craig Bellamy. The shot was arching towards goal, and that was a real let-off for Ipswich Town and Richard Wright. Ipswich searching for an equaliser. Iwan Roberts back to help out in his own penalty area. Here's David Johnson. Still, Ipswich can't find a way through. And it was Tarico's effort, which was well held by Andy Marshall. Right at the death. Ipswich coming close to snatching a point. It was a good effort by Tarico. Wasn't easy for Andy Marshall, who saw the ball through a blur of bodies. But Craig Bellamy's goal for Norwich City after 6 minutes of the second half has settled the East Anglian derby. It's Norwich City's first win at Portman Road since their final year in the Premiership. It's Ipswich Town 0, Norwich City 1.
What a tremendous evening it is for Norwich City, Craig.
Absolutely, you know, we were disappointed on Saturday, you know, especially in our defending. It starts on the front as well, in my defending, but you can see the defending tonight. The lads, you know, they showed everything. You know, we were under pressure as well a lot, because these are a good team. There's no doubt about it, Ipswich are a great team. But we've battled, you know, we could have played better at times, but you don't win every game by playing, you just got to grind results, and that's what we've done today.
So back to Carrow Road for a match with Huddersfield, who were top of the First Division table. Matt Jackson made a welcome return to the defence, but this match was to be all about the attack.
Forward by Fleming. Flaggers stay down. Craig Bellamy is through here for Norwich. He's past Barson, and he's put Norwich City ahead. 85 seconds gone, and Norwich take the lead through Craig Bellamy. Fleming's long ball forward, appeals which were turned down, and Bellamy clean through on goal. He took it ever so well. Dyson, who was trying to cover on the goal line but only succeeded in touching the ball back in, but that will go down as another goal to Craig Bellamy, and that's his 11th of the season. Bellamy is away here. He was put through by Lee Marshall. Huddersfield sleeping at the back, and there's a sense of deja vu here as Craig Bellamy puts Norwich City 2 up. For the second time in this first half, Huddersfield Town caught out of the back by Craig Bellamy. Suchu's dropped deeper to cope with the forward runs being made by Edwards, but it's Roberts on the break here for Norwich. Bellamy in support, and Iwan Roberts has made it 3-0 for Norwich. Iwan Roberts finds the target against one of his former clubs. And Huddersfield Town again in disarray at the back. fell over the ball there. Here's Bellamy. Brannan has made the run into the middle for him. Such is also up there. And Iwan Roberts sees his shot blocked by Varson. Smile from Iwan Roberts. Such a good understanding now between Bellamy and Roberts. Brannan was waiting for the pass, but Roberts snatched the ball away from him. Produced another good stop from the Huddersfield keeper. Brannan with a corner. Here's Lee Marshall. And it's Iwan Roberts who finally tells the ball past Varson. 2 for Iwan Roberts, 2 for Craig Bellamy, and 4 for Norwich.
We just seemed to hit it off straight away. We went away with Wales together in September. We were in room together for about 10 days. We got on really well, and we just talked about football in general. And we talk about the game, and it's just, if I flick the ball on, then he knows where to go. He's set me up a few times this year with goals. I haven't set him up as much as I would have liked to, and he keeps telling me that. But no, it's just a good understanding, and it works on and off the pitch.
The pitch in this case was deteriorating badly in heavy rain, and Norwich were unable to force any more goals, although Huddersfield grabbed one back through David Beresford. But that was no more than a consolation. Alongside a promising start to the league campaign, the Canaries have been making a bid for cup glory in the Worthington Cup. It started back in August with a trip to the Vetchfield and a match against 3rd Division Swansea. It hadn't started too well. A foul on Darren Eadie led to an early penalty, where Neil Adams missed the first spot kick of his professional career. Roger Freestone with a terrific save. It didn't come as much of a surprise that Craig Bellamy gave Norwich a late lead. Probably not the best goal he's ever scored, but they all count. But Swansea made sure that Norwich would have to work for it in the second leg as Nick Cusack equalised in the dying seconds. And Norwich were dealt a further blow when Adams, who hadn't had the best of nights, injured his collarbone in stoppage time. The second leg was a frustrating affair as Swansea packed their defence and forced the game into extra time. Iwan Roberts came on as a substitute. His first touch, just 30 seconds into the first half of extra time, was enough to score the only goal. The first leg of the second round was at Carrow Road against Division 2 side Wigan. Another tight match was settled this time by an own goal. Former Norwich City player Carl Bradshaw diverting Craig Bellamy's cross shot into his own net. The second leg looked to be far more convincing as Norwich stormed into a 3-0 lead. Craig Bellamy's deflected free kick opened the scoring. And that was to be followed by 2 goals from Iwan Roberts. The first was thanks to Bellamy's persistence. And the second was just the kind of goal Canaries fans have come to expect from the big striker. So a 4-0 aggregate lead never looked in much danger, but City's defence showed a few jitters as they conceded a couple of late goals. Gareth Griffiths and Stuart Barlow the scorers. But 4-2 it finished, plenty enough to go through to the next round, where Bolton would be the visitors to Carrow Road. Fans of both sides would remember some titanic battles between the teams in the past, and Bolton, of course, a team Bruce Rioch knew all about. He'd led them to the League Cup final in 1996. Your commentator is Malcolm Robertson.
Phillips forward to Taylor, under pressure from Kenton. Taylor does well, and does extremely well to find Elliott. Perhaps try his luck. He does. Oh, and that's a super goal. And there was only one place that was going to go, right into the top corner. Andy Marshall, not a chance whatsoever. Norwich have certainly been getting good gates recently, but the rain has clearly kept people away as Bellamy comes in with the header, and that's a chance, an equaliser! Well, it was a good free kick, a header, I think, from Mackay, and it was Keith O'Neill with the header, close-range header at the far post. Mackay with the header, and another substitute, Keith O'Neill, a very strong header, his first goal of the season, and Norwich are right back in it.
So, stalemate at Carrow Road, the team's forced to penalties, as happened in the same competition a few years ago. Back then, Brian Gunn pulled off a hat-trick of saves to win the tie for Norwich. Would that give Norwich a psychological advantage?
Dean Holdsworth takes the first penalty for Bolton. Marvellous save from Andy Marshall. Well, he guessed right, and it was a great save. Oh, and that's over the top. They really are trying conditions for the players, and that was well over the top. No need for Brannigan. Can Al Joffrey give his side the lead? He does, and that's a very well taken penalty. Sends Marshall the wrong way. Bolton have the lead. So Iwan Roberts, like Bellamy, a striker, in pretty good scoring form at the moment, but the pressure is on him. And he responds very well. Nicely taken penalty from Iwan Roberts. So this time it's Bob Taylor for Bolton, with the sides level at 1-1, turns quickly and sends Marshall the wrong way, 2-1 to Bolton. And for Norwich, who trailed 2-1, it's central defender Craig Fleming. Well saved by Brannigan. So, Bolton very much in the driving spot. Jimmy Phillips for Bolton Wanderers. A chance perhaps to give Bolton a 3-1 lead in the penalty shootout, and does. So really Eric Fugelstadt must score to keep Norwich in this one. They trailed 3-1. It's a fairly trusty left foot, this Fugelstadt, but if he misses it, it's all over. And it is.
Eric Fugelstadt disconsolate as Norwich go out of the cup. So back to the league and a match at Watford, who were beginning to emerge as one of the surprise packages of the season. Graham Taylor's men had come up from the second division and immediately made an impact. The early pressure they applied against the Canaries certainly counted. Matt Jackson turning the ball into his own net after just 8 minutes. Bruce Rioch had altered his usual 4-4-2 formation, which allowed Darren Eadie more of a chance to come forward, and he certainly did that, scoring an excellent equaliser shortly before half-time. There were chances at both ends in the second half, but a point was a fair result. So to a match with another team that would provide a surprise or two as the season moved on, Bradford. Their game at Carrow Road was exciting and controversial.
Now Blake. Norwich backing off Blake a bit here. Rankin. This time he's found the target. Isaiah Rankin has now put Bradford City ahead. Hit long by Jackson towards Keith O'Neill. Showed a bit too much of the ball then to Jamie Lawrence, but he got away with it. It's a good run by Keith O'Neill. Roberts at the near post, and it's an own goal. Iwan Roberts shows his delight, but that will go down as an own goal by Andrew O'Brien, surely. It was a good cross by O'Neill, and although Roberts might have got a touch, it went in off Andrew O'Brien. Beagrie has been able to get Rankin away. Only Rankin forward for Bradford. Mills arriving to help him out here. And what a finish that was from Lee Mills. A super strike from Lee Mills. We're in the 88th minute and Lee Mills has put Bradford City 2-1 up. Here's Such. Jacobs up. Walsh was out smartly and he had to be then. And Norwich have got a penalty. Bradford are absolutely furious. Gary Walsh bemused. O'Brien across to have a word with the referee, as was Wayne Jacobs. Walsh has just hurled the ball away. Stuart McCall consulting with the referee, who clearly saw something then. But it's Neil Adams against Gary Walsh. We're in stoppage time, and that's 2-2. Neil Adams grabs Norwich City's equaliser in the most dramatic fashion. Confusion about why the penalty was awarded, but nothing wrong with the finish from Adams, who sent the goalkeeper the wrong way.
3 days later, a trip to Portsmouth and a win for which a great deal was owed to Andy Marshall. This early save from Sammy Igo, just a taste of things to come. But Marshall could do nothing about the goal which gave Portsmouth the lead. John Aloisi the scorer on 29 minutes. But a change of tactics saw Craig Bellamy drop back into midfield, while Darren Eadie played up front with Iwan Roberts, and they combined for Roberts to score the equaliser on 63 minutes. Nothing less than Roberts deserved. He'd already seen 2 efforts come back off the post. And City's domination paid off when Darren Eadie took advantage of a defensive mix-up to tap in the winner 10 minutes later. But Norwich would have had to have settled for a point if Andy Marshall hadn't pulled off one of the saves of the season in the dying seconds. Aloisi connected beautifully with his shot, but the Australian was quick to credit Marshall with one of the best saves he'd ever seen.
It's something I've worked on my technique, where I'm coming back into the ball a lot more, so even when they're hitting balls very hard, you only have to get a firm hand on it, and there's no way the ball's going to go back in the net. So it's pleasing that the stuff I'm doing in training is actually coming off in the games.
The home match with Wolves was always going to be a test, but Norwich made most of the early running. Darren Eadie coming close with this effort in the first half. For all their good work, Norwich was struggling to break down a stubborn Wolves defence. Craig Bellamy's header was as close as they came to scoring. And a second look shows that it was never really in danger of finding its way past Mike Stowell in the Wolves' goal. And City's chances of taking the 3 points suffered a massive blow when captain Matt Jackson was sent off early in the second half. The referee produced the red card for what he felt was a stamping incident, but as the replay shows, Jackson was just trying to jump over Lee Naylor. On reviewing these pictures, the referee felt that there was no malicious intent and Jackson never served a ban. So Norwich unbeaten in 6 league matches and up to 5th in the table as they travelled to Tranmere, and they made the best possible start. An extraordinary goal from Keith O'Neill, giving the Canaries an early lead. Craig Bellamy had felt he had a strong appeal for a penalty, but his process quickly came to an end as O'Neill's amazing shot dropped into the net. Bellamy himself added the second. A mix-up in the Tranmere defence gave him half a chance, but that's all Bellamy seems to need. A delicate chip giving Norwich a 2-goal lead. Tranmere pulled a goal back 5 minutes into the second half. Kenny Irons the scorer. But the lead never looked in much danger, and Iwan Roberts added another goal towards the end of the match. So 3-1 at Tranmere. Surely the next match was a great chance to further stretch their unbeaten run. A club in crisis. Debt-ridden Oxford came to Carrow Road without a win in 9 matches.
Lee Marshall. They found the gap for Bellamy and he's made his chance now! that's a real good finish. Real good finish. I thought for a minute Bellamy was going to go down because Gilchrist just catches him there. He stays on his feet, right foot, far post. Great finish from Craig Bellamy. Good build-up, but Bellamy's so sharp, gets the wrong side of Gilchrist. Whack! Great finish, 1-0.
Oxford have been doing well as the half has worn on. This fourth corner will be taken for them by Smith. And Marshall was struggling to get there and held back in by Gray to Wilstermann, who scores his first ever goal for Oxford just at a time when they desperately needed it.
Norwich at 6 and 7, a smashing ball back in, an early ball from Gray. That makes a goal for me.
Lee Marshall. Marsh. And it's gone through to Thompson! And it is going to go! Thanks to Dean Windass with a helping touch! Once more it's Gray who digs in. Windass has got Thompson to his left. Pulling out wide is Les Robinson, and it's a beautifully placed header for Thompson! It's 3-1!
A poor performance in front of an expectant Carrow Road crowd. So a chance to make up for it came 3 days later against Grimsby.
Struggle there for Grimsby at the back, and it's been exploited by Neil Adams. Quick thinking as well by Craig Bellamy. Grimsby, having created an opening themselves at the other end, are suddenly caught out by Neil Adams. Andy Side just lost his footing and his balance, and Adams was quickly away to put Norwich City in front. Now Grant. O'Neill tight to the touchline. Cross driven in, and Roberts makes it 2-0. Iwan Roberts scores his 11th goal of the season, and he really bullied his way through there. Donovan with a header on. Here he is again. Nogan has been able to charge down the clearance by Jackson, and David Smith has pulled a goal back for Grimsby Town. Norwich with a chance here. Bellamy straight through the middle, and immediately makes it 3-1, straight from the kickoff. Norwich down to 10 men. Kenton off receiving attention, and Grimsby sleeping at the back, punished by Craig Bellamy. You can't get more direct than this. Lee Marshall with a long ball through the middle, and Bellamy with the acceleration to get beyond Gallimore, and what a good finish that was.
The next match at Swindon saw senior debuts for both Darryl Russell and Shay Wilson in one of the youngest Norwich lineups for years. One of those youngsters, Chris Llewellyn, supplied a perfect cross for Iwan Roberts to nod home a 17th minute opener for Norwich. It was the veteran Mark Walters who scored Swindon's equaliser 5 minutes before half-time, turning the far less experienced Darren Kenton before firing his shot past Michael Watt. So 1-1 at the county ground and a trip to Wolves a week later. This was the match that many fans would pick out as the turning point in the season. It all seemed to start well enough, and even first half saw Norwich take the lead when Iwan Roberts, who was giving his old teammates all kinds of problems, was fouled, giving Neil Adams the chance to slot home the penalty. And the other side of half-time, Roberts himself made it 2-0. A sweeping cross from Llewellyn made it easy for a striker that thrives on that kind of service. So 2-0 and cruising until this happened. Craig Bellamy caught by a reckless lunge from Kevin Muscat. Bellamy was clearly in trouble. It was enough to bring Bruce Rioch off the bench to make his feelings very clear to the referee.
It was just an unnecessary tackle, and obviously with the area of the injury, we were aware that it was a bad tackle on the day. We were unhappy with it, and it's meant that we've lost, you know, our forward for, as I say, at least 10 days. You know, we'll just have to wait and see how that injury heals. But you know, it's a loss that we could do without.
And the gash to Bellamy's knee took much longer to heal than first expected. He wasn't to play again until February. That setback knocked Norwich right out of their stride, and when Robbie Keane pulled the goal back with just 7 minutes left, the confidence seemed to drain away. It seemed almost inevitable that an equaliser would come, and it did, again from the young Irishman. "2-2 at Molineux, but the price was much higher than 2 dropped points.
We were 2-0 up when we were cruising, and then, you know, the horrible challenge that Muscat did on Craig, and Craig missed 7 weeks. You can't afford to be without your best players for that amount of time. I mean, it was a horrendous challenge.
The last match before Christmas was with Bristol City. Some fans and a local newspaper had been campaigning for a return to the Canaries' traditional green shorts. So, to decide the matter, the club decided to ask the home crowd what they wanted. Club director Delia Smith remained in favour of yellow, but she was heavily outvoted. So fan power ruled the day, but nothing was going to spoil her enjoyment of the game. A former Norwich player, Adi Akinbaye, returned to Carrow Road with the opposition, but he was outshone by the Canaries' new hero, Iwan Roberts.
Adams, sweeping crossfield pass, and Llewellyn is in here. Saving challenge by Brennan, still with Llewellyn. And Roberts has put Norwich City ahead. Iwan Roberts grabs his 14th goal of the season for Norwich. He's now scored in 4 consecutive games. Brennan just didn't make the challenge first time round. The second wasn't a particularly good one, and Llewellyn was able to get the cross in for Roberts to do the rest. Here's Mackay. Pass was hit ahead of Peter Grant, and Bristol City can exploit that here with Adi Akinbaye racing on to Edwards' through ball. And Adi Akinbaye has got the goal which he wanted on his return to Carrow Road. Jackson with a header, and Iwan Roberts has got his second. Iwan Roberts not picked up, and Norwich City 2-1 ahead.
Now, the Boxing Day fixture is one that Canaries fans have come to dread. The last time they'd managed to win on December the 26th was in 1987, and they didn't buck any trends this time. Queen's Park Rangers won 2-0 through a disputed goal from Paul Murray and one from Gavin Peacock. Even when the chances came, Neil Adams did particularly well to force this one. Luck deserted them. It was the Canaries' 5th successive Boxing Day defeat, but more importantly the beginning of a run of 8 matches without a win. Next were Watford at Carrow Road.
Norwich free kick. Eadie across to take it. Mackay and Jackson ready to make their run into the 6-yard area. And Norwich have made the breakthrough. Iwan Roberts is claiming it. He got the final touch. Goal number 16 for the season for Iwan Roberts, who's maintained his record of scoring against his former clubs. He's scored 2 against Huddersfield, 1 against Wolves, and he's got the vital breakthrough here against Watford. Watt didn't make the punch, and Watford have the equaliser. Steve Palmer, the Ipswich old boy, has grabbed Watford's equaliser with just 9 minutes remaining. Keep it solid, says Tommy Mooney. Adams with a corner. And it's been ruled out. The Norwich celebrations are cut short in the most dramatic fashion in stoppage time at the end of the second half. Clive Wilkes saw a push then, and it stays at 1-1.
The FA Cup draw presented Norwich with a trip to Premiership Sheffield Wednesday and a heavy defeat. Richie Humphreys opened the scoring with his first goal of the season. He scored his second a little later, taking advantage of some indecisive defending. Confidence was becoming very low amongst the City players, and a goal from Petter Rudy did nothing to help that. Norwich trailing 3-0 after 39 minutes. Only Iwan Roberts was able to give the travelling fans something to cheer about. He made it 3-1 just before half-time. But Dejan Stefanovic completed a bad day for Norwich by making it 4-1 in the second half. So out of both cups, surely now a chance to get things right in the league. So next was a trip to Crewe. Crewe were having a dreadful season. They were 5 points adrift at the bottom of the table. And when Chris Llewellyn opened the scoring after 10 minutes, Norwich looked pretty comfortable. Even luck seemed to be turning their way, as somehow Daryl Such was able to clear this one off the line. Lee Marshall, who was enjoying another terrific game, looked to have condemned Crewe to another defeat when he added a second after 33 minutes. But even with a 2-goal cushion, Norwich looked a little uncertain, and Crewe eventually got one back with 8 minutes left, a well-taken volley from Kevin Street. There, the jitters really started, and when Mark Rivers equalised with a couple of minutes left, Crewe appeared to have salvaged a point. But from there, it got even worse for Norwich. The home side had their tails up and forced a dramatic injury time winner again through Kevin Street.
The game that sticks out in my mind was Crewe away, where we were 2-0 up, cruising for 3 points, and with 8 minutes to go, we lose the game 3-2. And I said then that that could make or break your season, and I think it did break ours.
So the Canaries suffering from a real mid-season slump, a test of character for the younger players. Next were West Brom at Carrow Road.
Here's Such for Norwich. Now's Llewellyn. Carbon with a very robust challenge, but a fair one. Jackson's huge clearance. Whitehead, who was up and got the better of Chris Llewellyn. And Llewellyn has been able to wrestle the ball away from Phil Whitehead. But the goal won't stand. Chris Llewellyn bemused and also shown the yellow card by Bill Burns, the referee. Well, he headed the ball out of the goalkeeper's hands, or hand I should say, and that was disallowed, presumably for Llewellyn's ungentlemanly conduct. Bortolazzi over the free kick, might have a go from here, which he does, and deflected in. It came thundering off Lee Marshall, and that deflection enough to beat Andy Marshall. Goalkeeper completely flat-footed, and Albion ahead after 51 minutes. Forward by Quinn. De Freitas now for Albion. Bortolazzi offering some support. Fleming, who managed to get the ball forward towards Lee Marshall. Here's Llewellyn. Such just ahead of him. Norwich with plenty of options in the penalty area. And they've got the equaliser. And it's Lee Marshall. Lee Marshall, whose deflection presented West Bromwich Albion with their goal, has now got the equaliser for Norwich. Just able to stretch out there and get the better of Matt Carbon. It was a good cross by Llewellyn. And there was Lee Marshall to take full advantage of the knockdown by Darren Eadie.
A draw, but a far more encouraging performance as the Canaries took on Bolton, who'd won 4 of their last 5 matches. They dominated the first half, taking the lead when Dean Holdsworth sprung the Norwich offside trap. Norwich offered the travelling fans something to cheer about when a strong run from Keith O'Neill presented Chris Llewellyn with the chance to equalise, but he placed his shot just wide. And Bolton took advantage of that wastefulness to make it 2-0 on 65 minutes. A fortunate deflection allowed Neil Cox a clear run at goal, and he accepted the chance. So 2-0, but the return of Craig Bellamy as a second-half substitute at least offered a glimmer of hope, as former Canary Gary Megson brought his Stockport side to Carrow Road.
It's Matthews who was able to make up an awful lot of ground then. Here's Gannon. Now Ellis, who's worked out wide. Smith fell then as he crossed, but Ellis is in here, and Brett Angel has put Stockport County ahead after 9 minutes. Here's Gannon. Ellis, who'd made the diagonal run in behind Matt Jackson. And Matthews, who's again got the better of Kenton. And that's an own goal by Shea Wilson. Shea Wilson, the luckless 20-year-old who could do nothing then. Kenton hesitant, dispossessed by Matthews. And it was Wilson who stretched out a leg to deflect the ball past his own goalkeeper after Angel had missed the chance. It's 2-0 Stockport. Such with a header on. Here's Byrne. Such for a second time. Now Roberts, penalty. Paul Hughes argues, but Iwan Roberts in no doubt then. David Crick insisting that Gannon and Such are outside the penalty area. Will the delay affect Keith O'Neill? It's O'Neill against Nash. And he's put it wide. That was a dreadful penalty. Maybe the hold-up affected his concentration, but he angled the shot wide of Nash, and he angled it wide of the post.
So next up were Barnsley. Commentary here comes from Malcolm Robertson.
Early touch for Fugelstadt, who's returning after flu to Roberts. Nice interplay with Bellamy. And Bellamy tries a shot from about 30 yards, and an early touch there for Tony Bullock. Good touch from Hignett, and there's a chance for Turner in on goal. Good save there from Marshall. My goodness, he recovered well there. As Forbes picks it up for Norwich. To Marshall, still with Marshall, over the top. Andy Marshall with the free kick. Touch from Lee Marshall. Lee Marshall again, but he can't keep his feet, disappointingly, and it's Darren Sheridan, but perhaps a chance for Bellamy as Appleby completes the clearance, only as far as Forbes. Lovely ball from Forbes to Peter Grant, inside to Roberts. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, may he hang his head. That was the best chance of the night. It was a lovely, lovely move. Away rather too easily by Barnsley, but Fugelstadt is a good ball forward. Gets in the header. Oh, hits the post. What a let-off for Barnsley. Still Norwich, though. Well, they won't come any closer than that tonight, Norwich. That's rather symbolic of their luck. It was a super cross from Fugelstadt. And it was actually Craig Fleming with the header that came back off the post.
Without a win in 7 matches, City's task at Bury was made a great deal easier by the dismissal of Bury's Darren Bullock just 11 minutes into the match. Having tidied up defensively, it was all about getting back to scoring goals. They certainly piled the pressure on Bury's 10 men. Craig Bellamy was edging back towards full fitness, and he opened the scoring for Norwich after half an hour with his first goal for nearly 3 months. Although it wasn't until Craig Fleming scored the second with 20 minutes left that Norwich were really sure of that elusive win. The relief amongst the players was obvious. And the following Saturday, former Norwich captain Steve Bruce brought his Sheffield United team to Carrow Road.
Here's Grant. Roberts the intended target, and he's been able to pull clear. And the finish has been applied by Chris Llewellyn. Norwich City make the breakthrough after 20 minutes. A second goal of the season for Chris Llewellyn. The cross from Peter Grant. Iwan Roberts had been able to get clear of Jakobsen, and there was Llewellyn with a bullet-like finish. Good vision from Grant, good running from Roberts, and although the chance eluded him, it didn't elude Llewellyn. Woodhouse with the corner. Marshall stretching and under a bit of pressure, but collects well and is able to free Eric Fugelstadt. There's a break on here for Norwich, and Craig Bellamy is through on goal. Great stop by Kelly. Terrific stop by the Sheffield United goalkeeper. Better period of sustained pressure from Sheffield United. Devlin getting further forward. This is a good run by Devlin, and it's taken a wicked deflection off Matt Jackson for the equaliser. Forbes with the corner. Kelly backpedaling, but he was pushed. Norwich protest furiously, but the whistle had already gone.
So into March, where Birmingham were fast becoming one of the promotion favourites, and a trip to St Andrews wasn't one for the faint-hearted. Commentary here comes from Peter Brackley.
Broward and Johnson are both gone forward. O'Connor is in there too. He goes right. Well, he's a danger on set pieces, Gary Rowett. He's scored 6 times this season. Really attacked this cross. And he wasn't that far away. On by O'Connor. Now it's McCarthy. And Fugelstadt was alive to the danger then. So too is goalkeeper Marshall. Here comes O'Neill. Finding Forbes. Now they've got 4 up in this attack. Oh, it ricocheted away off Bellamy. Well, he's been getting back to his sharpest form in recent weeks after a 7-week spell out, after a clash with Kevin Muscat at Wolves back in December. And his absence from the team coincided with their slump, really. That's how important he has been to them. Now it's Hyde. Hughes. Played it towards Furlong, and Adibola. Still Simon John. Trying to thread it on to Johnson. Here's O'Connor. Adibola. Now as he lined up on a shot and goal. Oh, off the post. Keeper got his hand to it, but I think it deflected off the upright in the end. Super strength then by Adibola. Just couldn't force his shot in. Turned really sharply, and the keeper did get his hand to it.
The big games were coming thick and fast. Next, a trip to champions-elect Sunderland. And it wasn't looking good early on as Kevin Phillips gave Sunderland a 7th-minute lead. And it could have been worse. Andy Marshall had to be on top form to keep out a free kick from Nicky Summerby. But City had shown more of a fighting spirit in recent matches and came close to equalising when Iwan Roberts' effort was ruled out for a marginal offside decision. And it was only thanks to more heroics from goalkeeper Marshall that Sunderland were unable to force any more goals. So it finished 1-0 at the Stadium of Light. The next match against relegation-threatened Port Vale should have been a much easier proposition.
Well, Vale making slow progress down that right-hand side. Walsh again, who's got a terrific throw. Barker forward to Russell, nice touch inside to Bent. Here's a chance for Vale, cross the face of the goal, and that's her first goal for Port Vale. Alan Tankard with the touch, so simple, a lovely move, and it was finished off by Alan Tankard. Keith O'Neill being urged to move the ball back for the free kick. Norwich have certainly plenty men forward here. 5 on the edge of the penalty area. As O'Neill whips it in. In comes the header, and it's in! Craig Fleming, his first goal at Carrow Road this season, and it's put Norwich on level terms. Well, it was a beautifully delivered free kick from Keith O'Neill. Up went Fleming, right across Musselwhite into the corner of the goal. Nice passing move, Talbot and Bent. Talbot with the chance to cross. Falls for Bogey. Not sure if that was meant, but it was a chance. And a free kick. Bogey brought down. Grant doesn't like the decision. Quickly taken, and beautifully taken. Direct from the free kick. An absolutely stunning goal that gave Andy Marshall no chance whatsoever. Gardner in there as well. Good delivery from Tankard, and that's in. And that's a third goal for Port Vale. Good turn from O'Neill, perhaps tries luck from here, does. Oh, great save from Musselwhite to Bellamy, inside to Roberts, and that's it. Back in the game, Norwich. 68 minutes gone, and it's Iwan Roberts. Norwich trying to play the offside trap as Lee goes through with Fleming. Fleming is suspicion of handball there. And he's given a free kick just outside the box. Well, Norwich complaining that it shouldn't have been a free kick. Port Vale is saying if it was a free kick, it was in the penalty area. And he's upsetting both sets of players here. Lee into the box, and I reckon the referee might just have got it right. It was handball, probably on the line. Well, Fleming may well be off here because it's his second booking and he's off. Well, handball, Craig Fleming, and what a night it's been for him. He scored Norwich's equaliser, and now he's off. Headed away by Gardner, picked up for Norwich by Grant, who tries to find Wilson. Oh, and that's a difficult header across his own, and it's in! Craig Bellamy! What a terrible header, but what a good finish from Craig Bellamy. Well, it was Grant's cross, and a very poor header across the face of the goal, and that was food and drink for Bellamy. Beat Musselwhite and gets the equaliser. Beasley has Tankard outside him. Finds Tankard, scoring of that first goal, which seems so long ago now. Bogey perhaps tries luck from here, does. Oh, and what a super goal! When's this going to stop? What a lovely, lovely strike from Ian Bogey.
So Port Vale taking full advantage of the extra man. In fact, Craig Fleming never had to serve a ban for the sending off, as in Matt Jackson's case, the referee decided that the red card was punishment enough. That disastrous home defeat was quickly followed by a trip to one of the most unlikely First Division pace setters. Bradford were rampant. Darren Moore gave them the lead after just 13 minutes. Mike Milligan was brought in for his first start of the season to add a bit of steel to the midfield, but he was guilty of conceding the penalty that led to the second goal, scored by Peter Beagrie. Bradford's top scorer Lee Mills almost inevitably got in on the act, heading home the third. A desperate first half was completed by Jamie Lawrence, who just kept running and running before sliding his shot beneath Marshall. The Canaries players clearly received a few harsh words at half-time as they came out and got one back through Iwan Roberts. But the damage was done, and it was nothing more than a consolation. Hot on the heels of that crushing defeat was the news that Norwich were losing Keith O'Neill to Middlesbrough. The clubs agreed a fee of £750,000 for a player that was undoubtedly talented, but was dogged by injury throughout his Norwich career. Although Bruce Rioch made sure he was certainly fit when he left.
He's held me back with a few other lads after training, and he's given me a running session, which was quite tough to say the least. And I was in the shower afterwards, and he's pulled me into his office and he says, I've agreed a fee with Middlesbrough, you're free to go and talk to them. I've gone, what did you run for then? And he goes, just a little something to remember me by, son.
He's a nice fella, isn't he?
No, he is. No, he's a very nice man.
Next was a match against a Portsmouth team battling against relegation and extinction, crippled by debts of nearly £7 million. It wasn't the greatest performance, but one man in particular stood out from the rest, Darrell Russell. At only 18, Russell was just breaking into the first team, but doing enough to show that his long-term prospects were good. So 0-0 after conceding 5 at Bradford, good to keep a clean sheet. And Darrell Russell made an even bigger impact in the next match at Huddersfield, scoring the opening goal after just 3 minutes. But Huddersfield weren't about to roll over. They still had realistic playoff ambitions, and their task should have been made easier when Andy Marshall was sent off for a challenge on Huddersfield's leading scorer Marcus Stewart. Without a goalkeeper among the substitutes, Darrell Such took over in goal and performed well. This first half saved from Wayne Allison his most spectacular contribution. And Norwich soaked up the pressure until just 7 minutes from time. Loan signing Paul Hughes deflected the ball into his own net to make the final score 1-1. So on to a match with a club in crisis, Crystal Palace.
Woosley, who made the interception, and Mackay, who's given his goalkeeper a lot of work to do, and it's a very good chance for Crystal Palace, and one which was squandered by Clinton Morrison. Mackay too casual, under pressure there from Martin. Morrison was in quickly, and the angle just beat him there. Mackay with Llewellyn, Roberts or Bellamy to aim at. Roberts with the touch on. Here's Llewellyn. It was a golden opportunity for Chris Llewellyn, who's got 2 goals this season, and that should have been the third. Bruce Rioch, the Norwich manager there on the left, who was so busy in the transfer market during the days leading up to transfer deadline day. 2 of his new signings, Philip Mulryan and Paul Dalgleish, on the substitutes bench here. Palace with a big aerial threat in the penalty area for this free kick. Austin has gone forward, and he's made the header, and he's got the goal. Dean Austin. Norwich corner, Llewellyn to take. Hit wide towards Russell. It was a good effort by Darrell Russell, and Kevin Miller had to be on his toes. Crystal Palace goalkeeper raises his eyebrows as if to say, what's all the fuss about? But it was a dipping shot from Darrell Russell from a long way out, and Miller had to stretch to turn it over the top. Philip Mulrine, who was last here playing for Manchester United in Brian Gunn's testimonial game when he also came on as a substitute. Paul Dalglish making his first appearance at Carrow Road. Mulrine for Norwich. Now Roberts. Bellamy has made progress forward to the edge of the Crystal Palace penalty area. Here's Mulrine, and a chance for Dalglish. It could have been the perfect start for Paul Dalglish.
A disappointing result against a club fighting for their lives, although the arrival of fresh faces lifted spirits around Carrow Road. So much so that the new boys all started against Grimsby. In came Philip Mulrine, a £500,000 capture from treble-winning Manchester United. Paul Dalglish, who was on loan from Newcastle. And another lone player, Cedric Ancelin, who come from French club Bordeaux. Your commentators at Blundell Park are Rob Hawthorne and Alan Brazil.
Just feel this is maybe where Norwich can be dangerous, and they get a decent ball in this box here with the two big centre-halves, Mackay, Jackson. Could be trouble for Grimsby.
And there was trouble as Carey came in, and then from the rebound, Bellamy lifts it over.
Bellamy off the post, Bellamy with a left foot over the top. Very unlucky. Carey, I think, should have scored. Bellamy got a flick on it, but Bellamy reacts again, can't keep it down.
Olsen. Here's Russell. Darrell Russell complimented by Bruce Rioch as a great student of the game, very attentive with the coaching staff. It's Mulrine, and it's in off the post, and what a way to crown your full debut. Mulrine puts Norwich 1-0 up.
I said it was a silly free kick to give away, but this is class. Look at that, starts a good metre outside the goalkeeper's left-hand post. Good bend, that is beautiful.
So a fantastic way for Mulrine to begin his Norwich career, but the next match would test him and the rest of the players in a different way. The big one, the match with Ipswich. The clubs were hoping for a friendlier atmosphere this time around. The Shake Hands on Derby Day campaign appealed to supporters to enjoy the match without tempers boiling over. And in keeping with that, the two managers met for lunch at a halfway house, the Skull Inn on the Norfolk-Suffolk border. Joining them was Tony Jones.
Much has been made of the appeal to shake hands on Derby Day, but that's obviously something you both go along with, meeting here today for lunch.
What we're saying is it's how you conduct yourself, and I think both George and I as managers have to conduct ourselves properly, and the players have to, obviously, because it's a game has to be played within the laws of the game. But for supporters, show great passion, show great feeling, enjoy the occasion, enjoy the game, and you know, if one team has to win, then so be it.
And the players picked up where the managers left off by exchanging handshakes on the pitch before the game. It was a particularly big day for Robert Green, the 19-year-old keeper in for the suspended Andy Marshall. Some game in which to make his first team debut. We pick up the action during the first half.
Here's Dalglish. Now Ancelin. Bellamy well forward, as is Darrell Such. It's a surging run by Darrell Such, who was tracked back all the way by Mickey Stockwell. And a wonderful interception there by Craig Bellamy. Tanner. Interception by Mulrine. Here's Carey. Now Bellamy. He's got Dalglish forward in support. Shot was drilled against Venus. Carey again. And here's Mulrine. Vilnius with the vital interception for Ipswich Town. It's a terrific run by Stockwell. And Robert Green, who did well under a bit of pressure there. He's proving himself very, very adaptable. Vilnius for Ipswich. Johnson is onside. A terrific opening for David Johnson. and what a waste. Not even David Johnson can believe it. Forward by Venus, chase for David Johnson. Green and Jackson getting in each other's way. There was a call then from the Norwich skipper, but Green decided to take charge, and there's clearly some concern about the Norwich City skipper here. Blood pouring out of his nose. Green came a long way out, and it was a mighty clash of heads. Tim Shepherd, the Norwich physio, taking charge and escorting Matt Jackson back to the dressing room. Mowbray decides to leave the free kick to Richard Wright, and it's a huge free kick to search out James Scowcroft. Here's Johnson. What a magnificent save by Robert Green. Well, if there was any doubt about his ability to rise to the big occasion, Robert Green gave his answer then. It was a towering header by David Johnson, but what a super stop that was by the Norwich goalkeeper.
Now, you were involved in an incident at the start of the second half where your skipper ended up on a stretcher streaming blood. How's Matt Jackson now?
He's whinging as ever. You know, he's fine really. You know, so it wasn't that much bad clash. He just seemed to go down quite heavily, I thought. So.
Well, he's left you with a few scars to remember the day by.
Yeah, but I think he came a bit worse off. I think he's a bit of an elephant man now, but he's all right. He's okay. He's fine.
Okay, so you enjoyed the experience?
Yeah, it's a good experience for me, and obviously I was happy with the performance that I gave, and I had a lot of friends here watching, so there's a bit of pressure on me personally as well as from the fans and that, but I enjoyed it thoroughly, yeah.
Robert Green, Norwich City's newest player. The next game against Tranmere saw some of the Canaries' elder statesmen come back to Carrow Road. A reunion for the team that made the semi-finals of the FA Cup back in 1959 received a hero's welcome as they took to the pitch they graced 40 years ago. The team, at the time in Division 3 South, beat the likes of Manchester United and Tottenham en route to the semi-finals, where they eventually lost to Luton. Supporters that weren't even born at the time rose to applaud the efforts of the players from one of the Canaries' most famous teams.
Football's changed so much. Those days there was more rapport with the players and supporters, and you're seeing it today.
And they enjoyed their lap of honour before taking their chance to see the team of today in action.
It's a mighty throw on a very low trajectory too. Mackay with a header clear, only as far as Kelly. David Kelly puts Tranmere Rovers ahead. Anselin. Now Roberts. Roberts did well to angle that ball back to Anselin. Here's Bellamy. Roberts once more. Irons across to intercept. And here's Bellamy. Norwich level. Craig Bellamy gets his first goal in 7 games for Norwich City. He's struggled to find the target, but he hasn't lost any of his old confidence. Roberts with a header on. Here's Bellamy. Now Anselin. Mulrine is free and unleashes a terrific left foot shot beyond John Achterberg. Philip Mulrine with his second goal since joining Norwich City from Manchester United on transfer deadline day for £500,000. Kelly has worked his way out of the 6-yard area. Now he's made a run back in there. Here's Santos. And Tranmere Rovers have their equaliser. And the goal scorer is Clint Hill.
So Norwich still looking for their first home win since December, but at least the fans were being entertained, as they were for the first 5 minutes in the next game, again at Carrow Road against Bolton. Rioch rested Craig Bellamy, and Paul Dalglish was given a chance to partner leading scorer Iwan Roberts. They struck up an instant understanding. twice in the first 5 minutes. Dalglish laid on a chance for Roberts, and on both occasions he supplied the finish. Bolton could and should have come back into the game in the first half. Bob Taylor missing an open goal after 20 minutes. But Bolton were desperate for something from the match to strengthen their chances of a playoff place, and took just 3 minutes of the second half to score through Neil Cox. Increasing pressure from Bolton eventually saw them equalise with 15 minutes left. Per Fransen collected a neat through ball to level the scores at 2-2. Another lead thrown away. The next game was away from Carrow Road at relegation-threatened Oxford. Oxford were fighting a losing battle against relegation, and they took the lead through Brian Wilstermann on 29 minutes. But Norwich came back in some style. It was 1-1 3 minutes later. Frenchman Cedric Ancelin's first goal for the Canaries was one for him to remember. On 65 minutes, Lee Marshall's header came back off the crossbar, and Iwan Roberts was there to grab his 22nd of the season to give Norwich the lead. Before Craig Fleming gave Norwich a 2-goal cushion 5 minutes later. Oxford weren't going to go down without a fight and made it 3-2 through substitute Kevin Francis. But any hopes of a fight back disappeared when Craig Bellamy scored with a spectacular diving header with just a couple of minutes left. They finished 4-2 at the Manogram. So, the last game of the season at Carrow Road, and the presentation of the Player of the Year award. This year, fans' favourite, Iwan Roberts.
They're like a trier, and I think fans are very forgiving. They'll forgive anybody for making a mistake, just as long as he's given 100% and seems to be trying his hardest. So I think that's what it's all about. And you know, I've got ever such a good rapport with them, and you know, being a centre forward, if you're scoring goals, then you know they're gonna get on well with you. But I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here.
So Norwich came out in their new strip, which included the green shorts voted back by the fans. Young striker Adrian Coote came in for only his second start of the season.
Wayward touch by Adrian Coote, which has presented the ball at the feet of Onura, who's been able to release Undar, and Howe has gone round Andy Marshall and has been brought down by Marshall. That's a penalty to Swindon. Angry confrontation there between Bobby Howe and Andy Marshall. Norwich vainly waiting for offside, and the trailing hand of Andy Marshall dragged down Bobby Howe. Onura versus Marshall, and Onura has put Swindon in front. Mulrine, now Coote, Roberts and Lee Marshall both ahead of him. And Adrian Coote has been able to find Iwan Roberts. Terrific finish by the Norwich City Player of the Year. It's a new partnership up front for Norwich City, but it's produced results. Coote with the incisive through ball, which Iwan Roberts was able to race onto and to squeeze home from the narrowest of angles. It's the 23rd goal of the season for Iwan Roberts. He's been in terrific form, and the smile says it all. Good exchange of passes there between Mulrine and Lee Marshall. Still with Mulrine. Deflected, and here's Hughes. What a dramatic finish.
A great finish to the season at Carrow Road, although that was to be Paul Hughes' last game for Norwich. His loan spell from Chelsea ended there, and the move wasn't made permanent. An upbeat finish at Carrow Road was followed by a disappointing final match of the season at Bristol City. The home side already knew that they were relegated to the second division, and for much of the game it was fairly evident why. Norwich dominated, but they left themselves open to being caught on the break. The pace of Adi Akinbaye is always a problem. This time he was denied by Marshall. And with one of the few openings that Bristol City created, they scored. Lorenzo Pinamonti applying the final touch. So it finished 1-0 at Ashton Gate, but plenty of reasons to be optimistic. It was a learning year for all and a respectable 9th place in the First Division. Bruce Rioch moved quickly to secure Paul Dalgleish and Cedric Ancelin on permanent deals, as well as adding a year's extension to Adrian Coote's contract. So Rioch's squad strengthening well underway. What about the challenge ahead?
The calibre of the First Division is very high this season. Coming up from underneath, we have Manchester City, Fulham and Walsall, and all those 3 clubs will bring something to our division. And of course, coming down from the Premiership, we have Blackburn, Nottingham Forest and Charlton. And all 3 teams will bring experience and talent and ability. Of course, we still have the Boltons and the Sheffield Uniteds, Ipswich, Huddersfield, who had a new owner and will put a lot of money into the club. Portsmouth have new owners. It's a fantastic First Division. And all I ever do is try and prepare the team and get them ready, make sure they're fit and that their confidence is high, and get them into the start of the new season and get them playing well and get them and playing well and winning games as quickly as possible. But it's going to be a very good season ahead. You only have to look at the calibre of the teams in the division. And I don't think at this stage anybody could pick an automatic promotion place. Whereas I think at this season just gone, everybody felt that Sunderland were going to go back up to the Premiership with the squad and the stadium and the environment that they worked in. I think at this time around, there are just too many clubs in this division to say who's going to go up automatically. I mean, we have Dave Bassett going in at Barnsley, and Dave Bassett's got a tremendous track record of promotions. So it's going to be a very, very interesting division.
We've got to be looking to be, if not automatic promotion, then we've got to be in the top 6. So with the players we've got, I'm sure the manager will add one or 2 more into the squad. And we finished 9th this year, so we've got to go one bet. We've got to go better than that next year. It's going to be tough. You look at the teams that have come down: Blackburn, Southampton, Charlton. Fulham are back up there, Man City are back up there. It's going to be a tough season. It's probably be tougher than this year, but we're more than capable of getting into a playoff position.
And a time when you really need the support of the fans.
Oh, definitely. Because that is like an added goal, really. You go to places like Newcastle, Arsenal, places like that, and they get really, really behind their team. So do the fans in Norwich, and it is worth a goal start at times.
The heartbeat of a football club is its support, and we look at the matches that we've played this past season. Huddersfield away with 10 men, the great support we had on that particular evening. All over the country, our supporters have travelled, and they've been absolutely magnificent. And at home, they've come in good, even in the days when they're in the Premiership. That speaks volumes for those supporters, and they're invaluable to us. They're priceless. And to them, thank you very much. I've enjoyed the first season. We'll do our best to give you another good season, and you can rest assured that the only guarantee I can always give you is that we'll work 100%, and we'll give you a max. There'll be nothing less than that.